Hello and welcome back to our channel, Film Crack Review. Since childhood, some of us have probably been fascinated by dinosaur fossils and imagined the prehistoric era. That passion gradually exploded into a cultural phenomenon when Jurassic Park premiered in 1993, a film that took audiences back to the Jurassic period using modern technology, vividly recreating dinosaurs on the big screen for the first time. From that first milestone, the Jurassic series has grown into a franchise spanning more than 3 decades, leaving a deep mark on popular culture and becoming one of the most successful film series of all time. So today, let's explore the journey of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World through their cinematic works on the big screen. The Jurassic series spans 7 main installments, constructing a continuous timeline from the first experiment on Isla Nublar in 1993 to the global chaos of the 2020s. The storyline begins with Jurassic Park in 1993, when billionaire John Hammond and the InGen Corporation acquired Isla Sorna, an island off the coast of Costa Rica. Not long after, they also took over the nearby island of Isla Nublar. It was on Isla Nublar that John Hammond turned his dream into reality, building a unique theme park featuring dinosaurs cloned from prehistoric DNA. InGen's scientists, led by Dr. Henry Wu, successfully extracted dinosaur DNA from prehistoric mosquitoes trapped in amber, then filled in the missing gene sequences with DNA from modern species such as frogs, lizards, and amphibians, thereby creating the first living dinosaurs. With these dinosaurs, Hammond planned to open a theme park called Jurassic Park on the offshore island of Isla Nublar near Costa Rica. However, before the park could open, it experienced several major security incidents, especially involving the highly uncontrollable velociraptors, resulting in staff fatalities and costly lawsuits. To reassure shareholders and investors, John Hammond decided to invite a group of experts to visit and evaluate the park. Drive Alan Brandt and Dr. Ellie Sattler, chaos theorist and mathematician Ian Malcolm, and Donald Gennaro, the investors' legal representative. At the same time, Hammond also welcomed his 2 grandchildren, Lex and Tim Murphy, to visit the park. While the group was touring the park, disaster quickly struck. Dennis Nedry, InGen's computer programmer, had secretly conspired with rival company BioSyn to steal dinosaur embryos. On a stormy night, Nedry disabled Jurassic Park's security system to facilitate the theft. The direct consequence of this act of sabotage was that all the electric fences were shut down. The dinosaur enclosures lost power, and a series of giant creatures began to escape. In the end, while attempting to flee, Nedry was attacked and killed by a dinosaur. With the power out, the tour group became stranded and was attacked by a Tyrannosaurus Rex, T-Rex. Alan, along with Hammond's 2 grandchildren, Lex and Tim, became separated from the group and were forced to find their way through the dinosaur-infested enclosures to reach safety. During their journey to reunite with the others, Alan discovered hatched dinosaur eggs and realized that, despite InGen's efforts, the dinosaurs had found a way to reproduce through the ability of certain frog species to change sex in order to mate. At the same time, Hammond, Ellie, and Malcolm tried to restore the park's power supply in an effort to regain control over the dinosaurs. This, however, also led to more casualties. After everything, the expert team and Hammond's family were reunited, and were even saved from a pack of ferocious velociraptors by a T-Rex nicknamed Rexy. The park's power was restored, and the group managed to board a helicopter and leave the island in time. As they departed, John Hammond realized his mistake and decided to abandon his unfinished dream of a dinosaur theme park. In the second installment, The Lost World, the timeline has moved forward 4 years since the disaster at Jurassic Park. In 1997, on Isla Sorna, InGen's Site B facility, where dinosaurs were originally bred before being transferred to the main park on Isla Nublar, a young British girl vacationing with her family was unexpectedly attacked by a pack of Compsognathus. This incident became sensational news, reigniting public interest in InGen. The event also caused upheaval within the company. Peter Ludlow, John Hammond's nephew, took advantage of the situation to oust his uncle from control of the corporation. Ludlow, with ambitions to revive the company that was on the brink of bankruptcy, decided to exploit what remained on Isla Sorna. His plan was to capture wild dinosaurs from the island and use them to build a new theme park on the mainland, specifically in San Diego, USA. As for John Hammond, after losing power at InGen, he remained determined to protect the dinosaurs from human greed. Knowing he couldn't stop his nephew by force, Hammond shifted his strategy to seek outside help. He persuaded Dr. Ian Malcolm to once again face danger, to lead a small team to Isla Sorna to film and document the dinosaurs' natural behavior, thereby rallying public opinion to protect him from InGen's interference. At first, Malcolm hesitated, but he agreed once he learned that his girlfriend, behavioral paleontologist Sarah Harding, was already on the island. Thus, the expedition team to Isla Sorna consisted of 4 people: Malcolm, mechanical engineer Eddie Carr, documentary filmmaker Nick Van Owen, and the teenage girl Kelly, who had secretly followed them. The group's mission to protect the dinosaurs quickly became complicated when Ludlow and his team of mercenaries also landed on the island, equipped with helicopters, off-road vehicles, and advanced weapons, to capture dinosaurs for transport back to the United States. Peter Ludlow's main objective was to capture a Tyrannosaurus Rex alive, and he succeeded in capturing a juvenile T-Rex to use as bait to lure the adult one out. During Ludlow's campaign, most of his team members were killed by the island's dinosaurs. Despite this, Ludlow still managed to subdue the adult T-Rex and had it loaded onto a cargo ship bound for San Diego. However, the ship crashed directly into the harbor in a chaotic scene, and the enormous Tyrannosaurus Rex leapt into the city, unleashing a rampage across San Diego. Malcolm and Sarah were forced to use the juvenile T-Rex as bait to lure the adult back to the ship and away from residential areas. Sarah tranquilized the raging beast. While the greedy Ludlow met a tragic end, he was attacked by the juvenile T-Rex inside the ship's cargo hold. In the end, the mother and child T-Rex were safely transported back to Isla Sorna, far away from humanity. Following the incident, the US government issued a ban on dinosaur cloning and declared Isla Sorna a protected nature reserve, off-limits to all. The InGen Corporation was later acquired by the Masrani Global Corporation, owned by billionaire Simon Masrani, bringing an end to the dark chapter under the Hammond family's control. In Jurassic Park III, several years have passed, and Dr. Alan Grant has pursued a new line of independent research. He now believes that velociraptors had a far more complex social structure than previously assumed, but he struggles to secure funding to continue his studies. At this time, a wealthy couple named Paul and Amanda Kirby approached Dr. Grant with an offer to act as their guide on an aerial eco-tour by plane over Isla Sorna. Alan reluctantly agrees and brings along his assistant, Billy Brennan, to join the Kirbys and a group of mercenaries they have hired. However, despite Alan's objections, the Kirbys force the plane to land on the island. Almost immediately, the group is attacked by a Spinosaurus, which destroys the aircraft and kills the pilot, along with the group's only satellite phone, their sole means of communication with the outside world. After this terrifying encounter, the Kirbys finally confess the true motive. They are searching for their 12-year-old son, Eric Kirby, who went missing 8 weeks earlier in a parasailing accident near Isla Sorna. While fleeing in chaos, the group also encounters a Tyrannosaurus Rex. The two massive predators clash, and to everyone's shock, the Spinosaurus swiftly defeats the T-Rex, making it clear that a new apex predator now reigns over the island. With no communication tools or supplies, Dr. Grant and the Kirbys are forced to journey deeper into the island to find Eric, all while avoiding the Spinosaurus, which continues to stalk them. Along the way, they pass through an abandoned InGen research facility, revealing evidence of incomplete and possibly unethical dinosaur experiments. There, the group is unexpectedly reunited with Eric Kirby, still alive. The intelligent boy had managed to gather food and take shelter in an old truck for 2 months, waiting for someone to rescue him. When the group reunites with Eric, Alan realizes that the velociraptors have been relentlessly pursuing them because Billy had stolen several of their eggs. Billy explains that he intended to sell the eggs to fund their research, but Alan furiously scolds him, saying he's no better than the profit-driven people at InGen. At this point, the group enters a massive aviary and is attacked by a flock of giant pteranodons. Overwhelmed with guilt, Billy straps Eric into a harness and pushes him down safely into the river, sacrificing himself as the flying creatures swarm and attack him. After escaping the pteranodons, Alan's group finds the satellite phone in a pile of droppings from the creature. When the Spinosaurus suddenly attacks again, Alan manages to call his ex-girlfriend Ellie for help. The group narrowly escapes the beast, only to encounter the velociraptors once more. Alan quickly returns the stolen eggs to the raptors, Just then, the sound of helicopters from the Navy and Marine Corps, called in by Ellie, scares the raptors off. The Kirby family is safely reunited, and Alan Grant once again escapes the Island of Death. After this event, the Jurassic Park franchise went quiet for a time. For more than a decade, no further public dinosaur cloning experiments were conducted, and it seemed the story of resurrected dinosaurs had come to an end. And yet, humanity's fascination with these giant reptiles had never truly died out. John Hammond's unfinished dream was finally revived when the Masrani Corporation decided to open Jurassic World on Isla Nublar in 2015. Built upon the foundations of the original Jurassic Park, entrepreneur Simon Masrani transformed Isla Nublar into a grand resort, a themed park where tourists could safely witness resurrected dinosaurs up close. However, the company's executives were still not satisfied with the existing prehistoric species. So Dr. Henry Wu was once again brought back to create a new genetically modified hybrid dinosaur called the Indominus Rex, which had the ability to camouflage and mask its thermal signature. At the same time, Ingen's head of security, Vic Hoskins, believed dinosaurs could be turned into weapons for enormous profit. Another employee at Jurassic World, former Navy officer Owen Grady, had developed a special bond with the velociraptors he had trained, especially with one individual he named Blue. The newly created Indominus Rex quickly proved too dangerous to be contained. The creature outsmarted its handlers and escaped from its enclosure, rampaging through the park filled with visitors. Park operations manager Claire Deering immediately ordered an emergency evacuation and teamed up with Owen to find her two nephews, Zach and Gray, who were visiting the park on that very day. After rescuing the children, Owen was forced to follow Hoskins's orders and use the pack of velociraptors to hunt down the Indominus. But no one anticipated that upon encountering the hybrid monster, the velociraptors would instantly recognize Indominus Rex as their new alpha and turn against Owen's team. In the chaos that followed, Dr. Wu escaped the island with his research, while Hoskins was killed by a velociraptor. In the end, Owen managed to re-establish his bond with the velociraptors, and they joined him in attacking the Indominus. However, the entire pack was gradually killed off, leaving only Blue. In a desperate move, Claire released the park's Tyrannosaurus Rex to join the battle. Blue and Rexy teamed up to drive the Indominus toward the lagoon, where a massive mosasaurus suddenly emerged and dragged the hybrid monster into the deep water. With the Indominus destroyed, the surviving individuals were evacuated from the island, and Jurassic World on Isla Nublar was once again abandoned. 3 years after the Jurassic World incident, the fate of the dinosaurs on Isla Nublar once again faced a new survival challenge. Mount Sibo, the island's volcano, began erupting violently. The impending natural disaster raised a divisive ethical question: should the dinosaurs be rescued from the island, or left to go extinct once more? At a Senate hearing on whether the dinosaurs should be saved, Dr. Ian Malcolm testified that they should be allowed to die, viewing it as a way to correct the mistake of having cloned them in the first place. Ultimately, the government decided not to intervene, accepting the extinction of the island's dinosaurs. Unwilling to accept this outcome, Claire Deering founded the Dinosaur Protection Group to fight for the survival of the creatures. She was invited to the estate of Benjamin Lockwood, a former partner of John Hammond. Lockwood expressed his desire to relocate the dinosaurs to a safer island but needed Claire to return to Isla Nublar to reactivate the tracking system for the animals. Claire assembled a team, including Owen Grady, former park technician Franklin Webb, and dinosaur veterinarian Zia Rodriguez, to return to Isla Nublar for the rescue mission. Under the command of a mercenary leader, the team landed on Isla Nublar just as the volcano began to erupt. Owen found Blue in the jungle, but their emotional reunion was cut short when Wheatley and his men betrayed them. Tragically, mercenary Ken Wheatley ambushed Owen with a tranquilizer dart and took Zia and Blue captive. The mercenary team quickly captured enough dinosaurs, loaded them onto a ship, and departed the island, leaving the rest to perish in the volcanic eruption. Only Owen, Claire, and Franklin survived, forced to watch in sorrow as Isla Nublar was consumed by fire, taking with it the final remnants of the original dinosaur park. Instead of transporting the dinosaurs to a safe island as originally promised, the mercenaries brought him to Lockwood's estate, where a secret auction was set to take place to sell the animals to the highest bidders. Dr. Henry Wu even created a new hybrid dinosaur called the Indoraptor, intended to be the highlight of the auction. All of this was orchestrated by Eli Mills, Lockwood's assistant. When Lockwood discovered the cruel scheme, Mills murdered him to cover up the operation. After their harrowing escape from the island, Claire, Owen, and the other survivors secretly followed the rescue ship back to Lockwood's mansion in Northern California. It was there that Owen and Claire learned the reason behind the fallout between Lockwood and Hammond years ago. Lockwood had wanted to experiment with human cloning. After his daughter's death, Lockwood had secretly created a genetic clone of the girl and raised her as his granddaughter. That girl was Maisie. Maisie later helped Owen, Claire, and the others stop the auction and release the captured dinosaurs. Amid the chaos, Wheatley attempted to tranquilize the Indoraptor to extract one of its teeth as a trophy, but the creature killed him and escaped. In a critical moment, Blue rushed in to attack the Indoraptor, protecting the others and ultimately defeating and killing the savage hybrid. Although the auction had been stopped, Owen's group now faced another dire dilemma. A hydrogen cyanide leak threatened to kill all the dinosaurs still trapped in the underground facility. With no way to stop it, Owen and Claire hesitated, unsure whether they should open the cages, which would mean releasing the dinosaurs into the outside world. In the end, they chose not to, deciding to sacrifice the creatures in order to protect the rest of the planet. However, Maisie couldn't bear to watch the poor animals die from poisoning. She suddenly pressed the release button, explaining, "They're just like me." And so, the casualties continued. Eli Mills was snatched and torn apart by a loose Tyrannosaurus Rex. Owen, Claire, Maisie, Franklin, and Zia managed to escape, while Blue and the other dinosaurs scattered into the wild, beginning to spread across the globe. Not long after, at another Senate hearing, Dr. Ian Malcolm declared that the world had now entered a new Jurassic age, one where humans and dinosaurs would have to learn to coexist. Moving into Jurassic World Dominion 2022, the story takes place 4 years after the events of Fallen Kingdom, with dinosaurs now roaming freely across the world. Owen Grady and Claire Deering are living in seclusion in a remote mountain cabin, raising Maisie as their own daughter and protecting her from those who wish to exploit her cloned DNA for sinister purposes. During a mission to locate and relocate wild dinosaurs to a sanctuary, Owen unexpectedly reunites with Blue, his old velociraptor companion, who now has an offspring, whom Maisie names Beta. As for Maisie, years of isolation have left her feeling stifled, so she sneaks out to experience a normal life. At that moment, a group of mercenaries hired by Louis Dodgson, the new CEO of Biosyn, abduct both Maisie and the young raptor Beta. Upon discovering the kidnapping, Owen and Claire immediately set off to rescue their adoptive daughter. Meanwhile, Dr. Ellie Sattler reaches out to her former partner, Dr. Alan Grant, to help investigate a new species of mutated locusts that are devastating crops worldwide. They uncover that these giant locusts were genetically engineered by Dr. Henry Wu, now working for Biosyn, using the same methods previously employed by InGen to create dinosaurs. Wu and Biosyn's goal is to unleash these swarms to wipe out the crops of all rival companies, sparing only those grown with Biosyn's proprietary seeds, thereby allowing Biosyn to seize control of the global food supply and reap unlimited power and profits. Faced with this cruel conspiracy, Ellie and Alan decide to team up to expose and bring down Biosyn. Elsewhere, Owen and Claire follow a trail leading them to a dinosaur black market. There, they reunite with Barry, Owen's old friend from Jurassic World, and together, they take down a group of mercenaries. Through the intel they gather, they learn that Maisie and Beta have been transported to Biosyn's headquarters in the Dolomite Valley, Italy, with help from a daring pilot named Kayla Watts. Owen and Claire fly there to continue their rescue mission. At the same time, Ellie and Alan also arrive at Biosyn's facility to carry out the plan. There, Ian Malcolm has accepted an offer to work as a consultant for Biosyn. However, after uncovering the truth behind the Locust conspiracy, he secretly begins cooperating with a staff member named Ramsey and with Dr. Wu, who by now has realized the gravity of his past mistakes, to help Ellie and Alan gather evidence. Wu believes he can use the DNA of Maisie and Beta to create a biological agent capable of wiping out the entire swarm of mutated locusts. When Dodgson discovers that his evil scheme has been exposed, he panics and attempts to destroy the locusts to cover his tracks. He kills the experimental swarm, but in doing so accidentally sets the entire research complex ablaze, plunging Biosyn into chaos. Dodgson hurriedly gathers dinosaur embryos, hoping to rebuild his empire elsewhere. But during his escape through the valley's underground transit system, he is ambushed and killed by 3 Dilophosauruses. A cruel twist of fate, as this was the same species that had killed his former subordinate, Dennis Nedry, years earlier. Amidst the turmoil at Biosyn headquarters, Owen and Claire finally find Maisie, and for the first time, come face to face with the legendary trio, Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm. The group reunites and searches for a way to escape the burning facility, but their path is blocked by a massive Giganotosaurus. At the critical moment, they are saved by none other than the iconic T-Rex, the very same savior that once rescued Alan, Ellie, and Ian during the events of the original Jurassic Park. After years apart, Alan and Ellie rekindle their romance. Together with Ian, Malcolm, and Ramsey, they testify in court to expose and bring the leaders of Biosyn to justice. As for Owen, Claire, and Maisie, they return to their peaceful home and reunite Beta with her mother, Blue. Biosyn's valley is later transformed into an international dinosaur sanctuary, where prehistoric creatures are allowed to live freely, and humanity learns to peacefully coexist with these ancient neighbors. The ending of Jurassic World Dominion marks a symbolic turning point. Dinosaurs are no longer confined to a park or an isolated island, they have become part of the modern world, forcing humanity to adapt and find harmony with them. Following the commercial success of Dominion, Universal didn't stop there. Jurassic World Rebirth emerged as an entirely new chapter, set 5 years after the events of Dominion. The story takes place in the near future, 2027, where Earth's ecosystem has drastically changed due to the rise of dinosaurs. Many regions have become harsher in climate, and most surviving dinosaurs have migrated toward areas near the equator, where the tropical environment resembles the Mesozoic era. These regions have since been declared no-human zones. This bold new setting presents a paradox. For dinosaurs to survive, they need their own environment, meaning humanity must surrender part of the Earth back to nature. Unlike previous entries that continued familiar character arcs, Rebirth introduces an entirely new cast. The protagonist, Zora Bennett, played by Scarlett Johansson, is a former Special Forces soldier hired by a pharmaceutical company named Parker Genix for a secret mission. The goal? To exploit dinosaurs for medical breakthroughs, specifically, studying the biology of giant species to develop a cure for heart disease. Zora is sent on this mission alongside a team of experts, including Dr. Henry Loomis, a paleontologist, and several mercenaries. Their destination is Isle St. Hubert, a forbidden island in the Atlantic Ocean. Once a secret InGen facility in 2010, the island was home to illegal genetic experiments, among them a fearsome genetically modified predator known as the Distortus Rex. Zora's team's objective is to collect tissue samples from the 3 largest surviving dinosaur species: Mosasaurus, underwater; Titanosaurus, land; Quetzalcoatlus, air. However, the desolate island wasn't home to just dinosaurs and the strike team. A civilian family, the Delgados, was caught in a storm during a boating trip and shipwrecked, eventually washing ashore on the island. The Delgado family, led by Father Ruben Delgado, found themselves as innocent bystanders caught in the middle of the looming survival conflict. Their unexpected presence on the island introduced a familiar human element to the Jurassic franchise: ordinary people, especially children, thrust into dinosaur-related disasters beyond their control. At the film's climax, the villain Martin is devoured by none other than the genetically altered T-Rex variant known as Distortus Rex. Zora and her remaining teammates narrowly survive and manage to collect all the DNA samples required for the mission before escaping the island. In a final act of defiance, instead of handing over the discovery to the profit-driven Parker Genix, Zora and Dr. Loomis decide to release the dinosaur-derived heart treatment formula to the world without a patent, ensuring that all of humanity can benefit, and no single entity can monopolize it. With the conclusion of Rebirth, the Jurassic universe enters a bold new era, one no longer tied to the Hammond legacy or the remnants of InGen, but instead focused on the broader consequences of dinosaurs coexisting with the modern world. And that wraps up the entire timeline of the Jurassic universe on the big screen. If there's anything you'd like to add about this legendary franchise, feel free to drop a comment below and share it with us. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to Film Crack Review for more awesome content.